Hello there and welcome to another essential album review of The Shield Dude in the Couch. I'm your host Dexter, and tonight we're going to celebrate the 28 years of this classic album by The Offspring titled Smash, which came out April 8th of 1994. So it's now turning 28, and this is an album that it's one of my favorite punk albums of all time. And a very interesting fact, this is the highest selling independent album of all time, selling 40 million records worldwide. So this broke records they were on Epitaph Records. This is the band's third album. The first one was a self-titled, then they had Ignition in 1992, and in 1994 they released Smash. And I discovered the band when they released Smash. I think I've heard the song Come Out and Play, and I thought, yeah, that sounds very interesting. I like the Middle Eastern tones of the song, so I decided to go ahead and buy it. And also I love the cover. You know, the cover has the skeleton, as you can see. And Dexter Holland, the lead singer for the Offspring, before he made it big as a punk rocker, he was a virologist, so he used a lot of medical terms in songs from the Offspring. For example, in Come Out and Play, there's the famous part where he says, you gotta keep them separated. And of course, he was talking about science stuff in the song. And this album hasn't not only sold so many copies, but with Green Day Dookie in 1994, they put punk in the mainstream once again, which hadn't been in the mainstream since like the early 80s or last of the 70s. So they put punk back on the scene, and the Offspring is a band from California. And something that they did really good on this album, you know, this is an album that it's not as commercial as what they did later on in their career. The album starts with Time to Relax, and Time to Relax is basically a person that's asking you to, you know, have a glass of wine, get ready for the album, and enjoy music because it suits even the Savage Beast. And they used a voiceover actor called John Mayer. It's not the Body is a Wonderland John Mayer, another John Mayer, which they would use again in their previous album, Ixnay on the Hombre and Americana, and I think they used them on a few subsequent ones, but more notably on Ixnay and on Americana. But on this album, this was the first time that they used. And he opens the album, and then there's an interlude where he says like, oh, let's see what comes next. And at the end, he also comes again and thanks you for listening to the album. And that's on the song Smash. And when that song ends, the album goes back again into the riff that they have in Come Out and Play. So Come Out and Play was the first single that they released. And when they put out that song at first, the part where they has that Middle Eastern feel, and the part where they have the gam for vocals, Keep Them Separated, were not part of the song. And Dexter Holland wanted them in the song, so he didn't tell the band. And then in production, then they put it there. And I'm so glad, because those are iconic parts in the song. Like, I can't listen to Come Out and Play without listening to the na. And of course you can't get the you gotta keep them separated out of your head. And that song, obviously timeless, but there's some other great songs here. I love the song Bad Habit, which is song number 3, and that's a song about having road rage, like being on the road and being cut off and just snapping. But the funny story is that this song was actually about Dexter Holland, and not that he had road rage, but he had a truck that was so old that it didn't go fast. So when he was on his way on the freeway in California to go record, it went so slow that people were honking horns and shouting at him, and that's where the inspiration of Bad Habit came from. So funny story, and very interesting that that's how that song came. And that's one of the best road rage songs ever. Obviously being in the high school and hearing swearing, I'm like, oh my God, you know, I thought it was so cool. And the album also has a few singles else that they released, like Gotta Get Away. Gotta Get Away has a great like guitar tone, and the way it goes, it starts kind of slow, but it builds up. I remember the music video was very fun. They were like some kids moshing like in a basement. But another song that really was a great hit was Self-Esteem. And Self-Esteem has that great introductory bass line, the tu-du-nu-nu-nu, tu-du-du-tu-du-nu, and so great, so iconic. And it's a song about a guy that is so desperate, so alone, that he doesn't care that his girlfriend stoots him up, sleeps with his friends because he has no self-esteem. And to this day, it's a song that, you know, a lot of people can relate to it because, you know, there's people that actually had that types of situations. And I just love the bass line. It's really angsty song and memorable. And 28 years later, it still sounds amazing to me. So this album, those were the hits that they had, but they had other great songs, and they experiment with, there's punk elements, but there's also a little bit of ska on songs like Whatever Happened to You. There's like straight bangers like Kill Boy, Powerhead, and something that to me stood out from the Offspring was Dexter Holland's vocals. A lot of punk musicians couldn't sing, but Dexter Holland, oh my God, he had such a great voice. It's not the same, sadly, now he doesn't have the same range that he used to have, but when this came out, he was on top of his game. You know, he could sing like better than most people in this type of like punk alternative style of music, and that's something I loved. I also love the guitar playing by Noodles. Obviously, Noodles is the guitar player from the band with the eyeglasses, very, very iconic. You know, when you think of the Offspring, you think of him and Dexter Holland. But at this moment, you know, the album was produced by Tom Wilson, who produced their previous two albums. And the Offspring after this got so big that obviously Capitol Records came by, and obviously they signed. And in 1997 they were with Ixnay on the Hombre. And then obviously they broke bigger with Americana in 1998. But to this day, this is still my favorite Offspring album because I think this is the Offspring at their peak. It's not super commercial like how they went in the future, and just, you know, memorable songs, angsty, great lyrics, and to this day it still holds up. That's why for me Offspring Smash is one of my essential albums. So when you think of this album, what songs do you like? What memories do you have when this came out in 1994? Like, were you on board right away, or were you more Green Day than this band? But to me, this is an album that if you like punk and if you grew up in the 90s, it's a must listen. And here's the back cover, more of the skeleton, obviously Dexter Holland, like his science stuff. So comment, what are your favorite tracks? What other essential albums would you like me to talk about that are your essential albums? And if you like what the videos that I'm putting, you know, give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next month for another essential album review. Until then, this is Hector the Shield Dude at the Couch. Thank you and good night.